Yo, what's up, guys? BeatsbyHcien here in case this is your first time, and if your mix sound muddy, flat, or just off, yeah, 7 must know things that you can do to take your mixing from an amateur to industry ready sound. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is gain staging, guys. Before you even start to touch anything that leads to mixing or any other thing, you want to make sure that you gain stage your sounds. You get, so sometimes the kick or the snare or the hi-hat or whatever sounds that you're using, they are already clipping, they're already distorting, but you don't just know, and you're mixing distorted sounds. So you want to make sure the signal that is going into your kick is the signal from the kick that is going into your mix is not clipping. It is well, balanced. And in terms of mastering as well, there's this technique I always show you guys how you can get like 5 to 6 dB of headroom when you're mixing. So you can check out my mastering videos where I explain how to do that. But the bottom line is you want to make sure you're gain staging. There are some VST plugins, like I've always announced, they are already distorting even before you start mixing. So you want to make sure you tame down a beat, maybe minus 6 dB to all your instrument, depends on what you are going for. Even some sample packs are already too loud, and you want to take note of that. Remember, it's not just hitting hard and being distorted, but instead it is sounding smooth regardless of the volume. Use reference track, guys. Remember, there's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing that you want to do that have not been done before. What is that unique effects that you feel you want to do that have not been done? It's a lie. So you want to make sure you pick a reference track, a popular mix sound already. You can just drop a plugin on your door to be able to check the A and B, check what the reference you're mixing is sounding like, and make sure yours is close to use. And you can also use a analyzer, spectrum analyzer, to get to see what the frequencies are hitting. And also you can use some Ulin, LUFS, play theirs, see what is hitting, play yours, see if it is styling. And at the same time, like I always preach, don't just pick a random reference track. Make sure whatever reference track you're picking is something that sounds close to the particular song that you are mixing. So make sure you are cutting before you are boosting. And this applies majorly to when you are mixing your vocals. You want to make sure that you're taking out frequencies that you don't like, that are not supposed to be there, first of all, before you now start adding anything. Trust me, guys, this is one thing that most people do that makes it sound so amateur. You're just going to a vocal and you're boosting everything, not knowing that you're causing more problem for you along the line. So it could be instrument, it could be especially vocals, guys. Please make sure you're doing what we call subtractive EQing first before you go into adding. Take out what you don't like, then you can now start adding what you feel suits the track. Making sure you clean your low end, guys. If you don't clean your low end, trust me, that can easily spoil your mix. So you want to make sure, as much as you're creating your bass, you're sidechaining your kick to your bass, you're making sure the chords or the whatever instrument that you're playing are not clashing with the low end. It could be with the kick, it could be with the bass. So you want to make sure you are EQing some of those sounds, creating room for the low end, creating more room for every sound to shine at the end of the day. So please, guys, you want to make sure you are watching your low end and not just making it too muddy. Okay, pan for space. So when you have your drum, like personally, I start mixing with my drum first. So there are some sounds that you want to put to the left, there are some sounds you want to put to the right. There are some instruments, you want to make the leading instrument, that's the instrument that is going to be going all through the song. You can put it in the middle, and some other supporting sounds pan it to the right, pan it to the left. This is going to help the stereo imaging of the whole mix to sound really amazing, guys. So don't just be putting everything in the center of the attraction of the whole song. Is going to make the whole track muddy. So you want to decide which is going to be the leading sound, which is going to be the supporting sound, which goes to the right and the left, bring it down a bit, which is going to be the background sound. That is not what we are going to really hear, but what we are going to be feeling in the track. So you want to make sure you're panning to the left, panning to the right. My kicks are always in the middle, my bass are always in the middle, right? Then my snares, my rims depend on the vibe. I can pan it to the right, to the left. My toms pan it to the right, to the left. My hi-hat pan to the right, to the left. Depends on the vibe. And my main instrument stays in the middle. My bass, I always put them in the middle. My guitars, pan them a little to the right, to the left, be creative while you're doing this, but you want to make sure that you are planning to create that space for your mix. And trust me, this is going to eliminate every form of muddiness and make it sound industry ready once you can follow this simple guide. Compress with purpose. Do you get? One mistake people make, even aside compressing, especially beginners, is to just pick up a sound and you feel like I must add a VST plugin, and you just add an EQ. Why are you adding EQ? Does the track really need the EQ? Are you just cutting the lows of the particular track because you see other music producers doing it? Or do you have a reason for doing it? So guys, you want to be careful when it comes to compressing or adding plugins, like I said. So you want to make sure you're compressing with purpose and not just compressing or EQing or adding reverb or adding delay just because you feel like that is what everybody does. No, guys, you want to take note of that and make sure you don't just compress for any reason, but have a purpose for whatever VST plugins aside compressing that you are using. To mix at low volumes. So in your sound card, you can low the volume, maybe put it around 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock and mix at low volume. That way, if anything is too loud, you can hear it. You want to make sure your mix is so calm and soothing so that by the time you master, no sound will be clashing. So this is very, very important, guys. Mix at low levels. Trust me, that's the way you're going to even know when something is, doing more than what it's supposed to do. At least when you're mixing, when everything is too loud. Do you understand? So you want to make sure that you mix at a low volume. And trust me, guys, this is going to take your mix to the next level. So you can try these 7 new tricks I just show you guys in your next session, and I'll show you that over time that your mix will start sounding professional and industry ready. And if you have any issues or you want me to explain any of these that I just said individually, like I always say, drop your comment below. I'll be going through them and I'll make sure to explain them as much as I can, because at the end of the day, in my community, I'm here to make sure that everyone grows. And with that being said, till I catch you guys in the next video, remember, guys, to always stay productive. Peace.